Alright, hello everyone. I am David, or 1davidj. I'm going to be running Kirby Air Ride here. So, yeah, go ahead.
And I'm Blue Candy. I'll help commentate because I love this game to pieces.
Yeah. So basically my category is going to be all tracks, no duplicate rides, which means I can't use any vehicle more than once. I'm going to be playing all 9 tracks in time attack mode. So this is the air ride mode of the game. There's like 3 modes, but yeah. Also I'm playing on the Japanese version, which I'll kind of explain later. But I can go ahead and get started. So I'm starting off with Fantasy here. Going to be using Formula Star. I'll kind of explain like the vehicle track combos as I go. But yeah, so starting in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good luck, David.
Thanks. Alright, so just to kind of give some preliminary information, if you've never played the game before, this game's a kid's game that plays itself. It's got one button and plays itself. So the A button does everything. Basically, it handles power-up management, so you can like press A to suck up enemies. Some power-ups you can press A to use the power-up. And then you've got that charge meter in the... Oops, completely missed that. Charge meter in the bottom right, which whenever you press A, it kind of starts to charge up, and then when you release A, it boosts. It's kind of like mini turbos in Mario Kart, except it's like a scaling boost rather than like having the different tiers. You can see like I'm tapping A to use the spike, etc. You can also tap A on boosters, all sorts of stuff. So you don't have to hold any button to drive, which is cool. But so the first course was Fantasy, which is like a super short course, which I'm already done with. The other one's going to be a little longer. So not really much to talk about with Formula Star. It's a pretty simple vehicle. It goes fast in line, and then if you try and turn with it, it's pretty slow. But Jetstar is probably the first super cool vehicle that I'm a huge fan of. It's one of the fastest vehicles. I think it's the 3rd fastest. And basically it's got this mechanic, whenever it catches air, it gets a burst of speed. So what I'm going to be doing is trying to catch air as much as possible. Also, that was horrible. Trying to catch air as much as possible, and then dropping to the ground so I can catch air again. Just get like a ton of speed boosts, and they like zip together. So it's like super technical. It's pretty fun when you're going super fast, and yeah. So also these green panels are boosters. If you tap A on them, you get a boost. You can actually tap A on them multiple times and get multiple boosts, which I guess is probably a bit of an oversight. But
Cool. So to start, can you give us an idea of which are the most difficult courses in the run?
yeah, so probably I guess it varies per person a little bit, but I would say the number 1 for me would be, oops, not mean to get on this bridge. Frozen Hillside's probably number 1 for me. Number 2 would probably be Machine Passage, I would say. The vehicle that we use there is super finicky, so it's not like one of the fastest vehicles, but it's super finicky, so if you mess up, it's like really slow. Then probably Checker Knights, and then this one is probably number 4. So the potential to go fast with this vehicle on this course is huge. So there's like a lot of time to save. I think my personal best is like a 202 flat. You can already see I'm on like 207, 208 or worse pace. So there's a ton of time to save if you go fast with this vehicle. Also, like I mentioned, since the A button does everything, sometimes you don't really have a lot of options as far as if you're going to suck up an enemy, because if you tap A next to them to... tapping A also like helps this turn if you like mash it. So you, like if you run near a bird enemy, which there's a fair amount of on this course, and if you happen to tap A next to it, then you'll suck it up. And you can't get rid of a power-up except for just waiting it out, so if I was to get a bird, that would not be good. So I'm going to be trying to avoid those with every vehicle. They're on a couple different courses, so... Anyway, that was Celestial. Moving on to Sky Sands here, or Sandula, as the Japanese name is. I'm going to be using Swerve Star here, which is probably everyone's favorite casual vehicle. It drives pretty quick if you just drive in a straight line. You can't turn unless you are holding A, which causes you to completely stop, and you can turn freely. But it's got this mechanic where if you spin against a wall, you kind of like bounce away from the wall and then into it again, but it causes you to go a little bit faster. So normal resting speed on Japanese, I think, is around like 51, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like forget because I'm used to the... Like I remember the English number from as a kid, it was like 31, but because it's in kilometers instead of miles on Japanese. But when you're up against a wall and spinning, you can go like up to like 61, 62. So it's a little bit faster. Also, I'm going to be grabbing this wheel power up here. Wheel power up gets like a decent amount of speed when you kill enemies or catch air. That's a mechanic I haven't explained yet, but if you haven't seen yet, you get like a pretty sizable burst of speed when you kill an enemy. So I'm going to be using that like all throughout time attack. It's kind of one of the reasons that power-ups are so important. Because you want to have like certain power-ups to kill enemies and stuff like that.
Yeah, and we know how to run this category because in the time attack mode, the enemies are in a set spawn on every lap, so we can route out optimal ways to use power-ups and gain the most speed.
Yeah, and that's one of the cool things actually about time attack as well, is that the enemies spawn in like different locations. Oops, I did not mean to suck that up. The enemy spawns are different on every lap, so it makes all 3 laps generally fairly different. Kind of varies based on the course, but there's usually some diversity like per lap.
Awesome. Well, now's the perfect time to explain region differences. So, why exactly? Another famous question: are you running on the Japanese version?
Yeah, it's actually not because of text or load times like are common. Basically, what it is all the vehicles are programmed to be a little bit lighter, so they lose. I think they lose less speed when drifting. So basically, it causes them to be a little bit faster overall. It affects Rocket Star probably the most, other than there's one scooter specific glitch, or for the wheelie scooter, you can only do in Japanese, which I will get to towards the end. So this is going to be Frozen Hillside, going to be using Slick Star. This vehicle, I think I mentioned, is probably the hardest one, or this track. Going to be using Slick Star, which is kind of a mess of a vehicle. It pretty much doesn't turn unless you release a boost in that direction. Like if I was to just like not use the boost and try and turn, I would just like point in a new direction but keep moving forward. But you can do a lot of cool things with it. It's got really good speed retention if you start charging and turn sideways. So you can see like I can start charging and turn sideways and zip down this hill, and then I can like fly through this tunnel with like all that speed. The reason we use it here, there's a couple places you can do that. It's actually like the second fastest vehicle in the course, behind Wheelie Scooter. Wheelie Scooter is pretty much the best almost everywhere. It's like 6 of the 9 courses, but it's competitive on like 8 of the 9. So if this was like a regular all tracks run, we'd be using Scooter just about everywhere. Also, I messed that up a little bit. I released A too early, so I crashed into the wall and lost all my speed. So that's unfortunate, but also I'm doing this like little snaking here, just back and forth. Since like I mentioned, it has pretty good speed retention. If you turn sideways, you can just like turn sideways, charge, and then do it again, or like release the boost and do it again.
So he drifted a bit further. He used the furthest rail actually just so he could suck up the sword enemy on the second lap here. And the sword power-up will actually allow you to break that huge wall of ice in just one swing, and then he can cut through the corner there.
Oh yeah, that's the sword's an automatic power-up, so I don't actually have to like do anything to slash with it. Kirby sees enemies in front of him, he'll just slash. So, and he sees that ice wall as an enemy, so he'll slash through it as well. So yeah, that's part of like the power-up routing. So like on lap 1 there were swords like at the beginning of the rail there that I grabbed. On laps 2 and 3 there's a sword kind of near here at the top. So also I got the tunnel slide all 3 laps, which I'm not super consistent at it. It's like pretty precise, so I'm glad that I managed to get that all 3. This is a decent Frozen Hillside for me overall. The mistake that I made at the beginning of lap 2, crashing into the wall, was unfortunate, but other than that, it's quite good. Yeah, 217. I'll take that. Oh, so yeah, I'm 4th player because so you can pick whatever color you want, and this is actually my personal strat. If you're on 4-player, then it'll automatically default you to red Kirby, and I use red Kirby, so I plugged my controller to port 4, so I don't have to like select the color. There's 8 Kirby colors. There's like pink, blue, yellow, red, and then those are the 4 that you start with, and you can also unlock green, purple, brown, and white. So if you use any of those unlocked colors, you can't do the strat, but if you use any of the first 4, then you can. So
there's actually a super, it's not really precise, but it's a nice little boost at the start. For some reason you gain even more speed if you inch up just a bit past the starting line and release the boost at the right time with Rocket.
Oh yeah,
it's really interesting.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm using Rocket Star here. Basically it's got an extremely long boost charge up timer, but it gets a ton of speed out of boosts. It also gets a ton of speed out of boost panels and killing enemies, which is why we use it here. This is like the 2nd fastest vehicle overall, and it's actually faster than Scooter on this course, which is relatively rare. I don't need to charge there. Um, that rail moves on a cycle, and I try to take the middle path every time, because the left path is like extremely slow, and then if I'm on a good cycle, then I never end up having to go on the right path. So
yeah, just an example of how well these courses are actually routed. It may look like we're just speeding through it here. David's going fast, but it's actually extremely precise. Well, not really precise, but like he knows the rails are on the cycle, and you know if he misses a boost somewhere or misses an enemy, then you have to deal with an alternate rail cycle, and that can throw the whole rest of the lap off.
yeah, so like normally if I'm going fast, I'll charge like on the rail, but this time I was so far behind that I both didn't have time to do that and ended up on the right path, which the right path isn't as bad, it's just a less direct line. But you pretty much only end up there if you fall behind enough that that you have to go there. So that bird right there is kind of a big issue. You have to be careful not to suck it up. Fortunately, per A press, you can only try and suck up something once. So if I suck up that Bronto bird as I'm like flying in, then I won't have to suck up the bird. So that's good. So next is Beanstalk, or as the Japanese name is, Arun. First thing I'm going to start by spinning in a circle, because this vehicle is completely wild. I don't know if I really want to try and explain this vehicle. The faster you're going, it gets really hard to turn. But as a result, if you're going slow, then it's really easy to turn, which is kind of why I was able to do that really fast turnaround at the start. But basically, I haven't really talked about how we routed this category yet, but there's like a super robust IL community, primarily Japanese players, which have put a lot of work into like optimizing like every vehicle per course. So we're basically able to like look at a big spreadsheet of all of the different IL times, and we kind of picked the vehicles that are the fastest. We found the places that they save the most time. And the courses that were left over, we kind of picked the top vehicles from there. So like this vehicle is like a solid mid-tier vehicle. But since this is kind of one of the courses that was left over, it's like relatively good here. So we go ahead and use it. So that's neat.
Well, with this vehicle being as complex as it is, how about we talk about accessibility to the run? People are looking to run this game since there have been some people who said already that it's their all-time favorite as a kid. What would you do to get into a category like this?
Oh yeah, so you can actually just you can play on the US version. The Japanese version is faster, but it's not really a big deal. For the most part, the game's pretty similar. Super easy to pick up. You can play on USB loader or emulator, because we run the category in in-game time, just because we're able to do that. Basically, we just like sum up the in-game time at the end of the run. So, and then we have like a bunch of tutorials. Pearstrike has a big tutorial playlist on his YouTube channel that has stuff. We also have, I think it's linked on the Speedrun.com page as well. And we have like a Discord community for it and everything. So if anyone's looking to pick up the game, I would highly recommend it. It's super fun. It's really easy to run casually too. Oh, I did not mean to take this. If you touch it, then it'll just take you. Puts you on this upper path. It's kind of slow. You have to deal with this bird here that kind of just spin through or something. But yeah, you can't really do anything, or like you can't choose not to get picked up. You just have to like time yourself so you don't get picked up by the windmill. And I kind of messed up, so it happens. It probably loses about maybe a second or two. Also, I didn't explain, but between those four rails, the two rails on the right, it's just a shorter path, so just go a little bit faster. Up next is the machine passage. I think I said this is like probably my second hardest one. Wheelie Bike's like super finicky. It's another like mid-tier vehicle that isn't really super fast, but if played well, then it can get a decent amount of speed and maintain it relatively well. So there's a lot of time to save on this course, even though it's like relatively slow. So I'm going to be using plasma all throughout this course and trying to snipe enemies basically as much as possible. Oops. You could charge up plasma really fast. It's one of the few power-ups that you can actually get rid of faster, because if you just basically once you run out of plasma, it just goes away. So there's going to be a few times where we're going to be getting rid of it early, or trying to hang on to it for like certain points. So like I'm going to use it like pretty sparingly until I was kind of messed up here. because I want to save it to be able to kill that wheel if possible, although I kind of went too slow, so I ran out of it. But if I was going a little bit faster, I would have been able to hit him. But it wears off just in time to grab this one. Also, those hockey pucks are annoying. Normally you could just fly over him, but I kind of messed up, so that one we get rid of just in time to pick up this plasma. So we got it all worked out. Also, this is not a great machine passage. I'm struggling here, but
looking good. What would you say a really good machine passage is in an all tracks runs versus no dupes?
oh yeah, so this is one of the courses that is probably affected the most, and if it wasn't for the fact that it's a short enough course, we might consider using wheelie scooter here instead, because like a good wheelie scooter run for this is like sub 150, and then a good run with wheelie bike is for me it's probably like a 213. It's pretty good. So I messed up again. I don't know why I messed that up. If you just like flick down at the right time, then you'll just fly over them, but for some reason I messed it up twice in the same run. But yeah, so it saves, or wheelie scooter saves like 20 seconds or whatever. Also I got bird, which is slow, but it doesn't matter because it's the end of the run, or end of the course. But if you cycle multiple enemies at once, it gives you like a power up randomizer cycler. So I just kind of picked a random one. Technically you can pick it. It's like a consistent cycle, and there's a 2-frame window per power up. So if you're good, you can pick it. But I haven't really spent any time trying to learn it. Anyway, this is wheelie scooter. This is the fastest vehicle in the game. It's pretty hype. It's got some glitches that you can do with walls to go really fast, and generally it just gets a lot of speed from killing enemies and catching air and stuff. So
there's a lot going on here. This is the most technical course, I think, in the run.
yeah, I think probably for sure. It probably would be the hardest if I wasn't just more comfortable with it, because I spent a lot of time with it.
Yeah, you're already like 7 seconds ahead of my best.
Yeah, I actually set a personal best on this course last night. Wasn't by very much, it was maybe like 0.3. Can you? Oh my god, I don't think he's coming. I wanted that sword, but I completely missed him. I have to go out of my way. Oh, that was horrible.
Yeah, I think that ending of that lap is actually another version exclusive thing. Lots of things are version exclusive with the wheelie scooter.
Oh yeah, so that's basically like the one thing that I was talking about. This scooter has, because like spin dashes and stuff like that can be done in US, which are like when I spin towards a wall and charge. But there's this glitch where if you catch air while charging, you get like really broken like high speed retention. So there's like a little lump that I drive over, and I'm charging as I drove over it, and then like I catch air for a second, and that gives me the glitch state, and then I can just like charge and carry all those all that boost speed along like through the end of the lap and into the start of the next one. I'll show it off hopefully better on this lap. I kind of messed it up that first time because I didn't have the sword, but oh, that was bad. Is this still okay? I want that sword. Okay. So yeah, there's that little lump there, and then I can just kind of zip along and grab all these and then fly through. That was actually even faster than I expected. That's why I ended up in the dirt.
So we only have one more course after this one, am I right?
Yep, so it's this course. Oh my god, that was horrible. Oh my god. Those jumps are on a cycle, and I missed the first one, and then that second one kind of like disappeared as I was about to go off of it, so normally I have like figured out where the cycles or where the jumps are going to be on laps 1 and 2, but by the time I get to lap 3, it's like there's enough of time that's passed that it's kind of hard to get an idea of where the jumps are going to be, based on like how good my run is. So I kind of just have to go there and hope that I get one that pops up at a good spot. So also, the reason that we use scooter here, I think I kind of alluded to, is it's the longest course, so it saves the most time relative to like if we're only going to use the best vehicle once, obviously. Anyway, so this is the last course. It's pretty hype. We use Bulk Star, so Nebula Belt, so everyone's probably least favorite vehicle in the world, casually. But we start off driving backwards for the second time in this run, and we just go off that jump. So and we pick up to kind of absurd 105 kilometers an hour, which is a lot faster than this vehicle's meant to go. This vehicle basically works with like a unique mechanic where instead of like just driving normally, it doesn't move unless you use the boost gauge that basically burns like fuel. And as it burns, it adds about 60 kilometers an hour from full to zero fuel. So since the boost doesn't start burning until you hit the ground, because you can't like boost in the air, we go off those jumps and we hit the ground at like 45 or so kilometers an hour, and then it adds up to like it starts from there and starts climbing. So we get up to like 105. We can just like chain boost to boost. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty hype. It's also it was a little bit bad. I didn't quite have a full boost going off that jump, so I'm not gonna quite get up to full speed. But actually, never mind. That was decent. Still 106. So the first time I saw this, I'm pretty sure my jaw like literally actually dropped when I was like first learning the game. Because when I started, like I just used Swerve Star, and I just like drove into the walls. This is for like the regular all tracks category. The no duplicate rides we kind of created later to get some diversity because we were just using scooter everywhere. And since there's so many cool vehicles, we kind of wanted to play around with more of them. So it's just like a side category, but I put quite a bit of time into it because it's still pretty competitive, even though it's like a miscellaneous category.
I really think it shouldn't be miscellaneous personally, because I really like the diversity it has.
Yeah, for sure. Like, definitely optionally could be like a main category, but I feel like it kind of makes sense because it's kind of like a weird arbitrary thing. Kind of makes sense to be like miscellaneous category, but it's definitely competitive enough that it could be a main one for sure. Anyway, so it's already near the end of the run. So basically, once I cross the finish line, it'll be the end of the run. So in this run, it was alright for me. Looking at probably like 21:15 or something like that. Better than some of my practice ones were going. So, but yeah. So this has been Kirby Air Ride. Hope you guys enjoyed. It was pretty short, but it's a fun run. I love it. I've been doing it for years, and yeah. So thanks again for Blue for commentating. So
yeah.
Great job, definitely, and thank you so much for doing this run.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, and just a reminder for everyone watching, we are accepting donations through tiltify.com/@speedrun. All funds go directly to the Corona Relief Fund through Hackensack Meridian University Health Center. And we have coming up shortly the Ocarina of Time run. We do have a donation incentive that is for the file name. File name is currently Daddy at $15. So if you want to vote on what that file name should be, please get your donations in before the Ocarina of Time run. And then we're going to take a short break here and then come back for the Untitled Goose Game. So get up, stretch, and then come right back.